From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Beat the Champ. It is week number 2 of our month-long stay here in Niagara Falls at the Rapids Bowling Center. We got off to a great start with some terrific matches, and our returning champion, Mike Johnson, is bowling terrifically right now, but he's got himself a pretty good challenge in the Mike versus Mike battle that's going to start this one off.
He does. He brought a sense of calm to the show last week. He's just so casual and just so matter-of-fact about bowling and no tension, so we'll see if he carries that into this week and with this tough match against Mike Zarcone and then a couple new people.
Yeah, and of course Mike Zarcone, our most successful Beat the Champ bowler. So that's our first match. Our next 2 matches will feature 2 guys that have never been on the show before but have been bowling very well in Jay Schwarzkopf and Charles Jones Sr.
Right, they've been trying to make the show. They've been going to the different qualifiers and have had a 300. Jay won the TV a couple months ago, so they're ready. They've put their time in and they're ready to make the show.
Yeah, they're ready. I know you're ready, right?
Always.
You never know what we're going to get when we got Mike Zarcone out there, so I know you're ready, right?
Always, yeah. You never know what to expect. You never know who's going to come out on top, but that's why we do the show.
All right, well, we hope you're ready, too. It's week number 2 at the Rapids Bowling Center. Let's get rolling.
I'm here in Beat the Champ with Mike Johnson again. Now you're here as the champion. 3 games under your belt. What do we have to look forward to?
Well, I'm just looking forward to that. I get to keep bowling. Hopefully I can I kind of feel like I'm on top of a wave. I want to ride it as long as I can, you know. That's the game plan.
Well, I like how casual you are. Haven't been pushed too hard. I mean, had a chance to kind of like get your swing loose and enjoy yourself out there.
It did help a little. Chuck made it a little easier for me to loosen up, and but it's not going to get any easier going forward. We all know that. So
I was just going to say the same thing. You've got a contender here in Mike Zarcone, and we'll see what happens.
that's right. I got a lot of respect for Mike, but it's game on.
Really? It didn't sound like a lot of respect what I just heard out here. We're not going to talk about that.
That's
Good luck
right.
to you today.
Thank you very much.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Mike Zarcone. You are the marquee match today. You and Mike Johnson saw a little interaction going on between the two of you, but you've bowled each other before, seen a lot of each other?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a great bowler, so should be a good match.
Well, he said the same thing about you, so nobody's talking any trash. We're going to see a good, fun match today?
Absolutely.
All right, well, I hope to see a lot of you. It's going to be fun. I think that's the premier match of the day. So we've got a couple people on the show this month that are newbies. Does that change the strategy?
Not at all. I just focus on what I need to do and hopefully strike a lot and win.
Okay, well, let's see that happen. Good luck to you today.
Thank you.
We're all mic'd up for match number 1 here. Zarcone versus Johnson. And aside from the fact that both have the same first name, both guys are terrific bowlers who are bowling great right now. This should be one of those matches you're not going to want to take your eyes off of, and it's our job to do that.
Right. These 2 bowlers have a lot of respect for each other and know how talented they both are, so nobody's taking anything for granted this match, that's for sure.
What have we learned so far through one week of shows and 3 matches here at the Rapids Bowling Center about what the characteristics of lanes 29 and 30 have been?
Well, we know they've been that they've both transitioned a little bit, and that the bowlers are seeing them to be not identical. There was a hang spot on one. We know that Chuck let us know about that.
Yes, he did.
And
Chuck Jagosinski did let us know that.
We saw a few shots there where we saw a few buckets, a few 6 counts. Mostly, though, we've seen a lot of pocket hits, mostly a lot of strikes, a lot of 9 counts. So that spot didn't get anybody into too much trouble.
I think if you'd asked Chuck Jagosinski to fix that, he'd have shown up with a jackhammer. So Mike Zarcone will have to deal with a spare here in his first frame. And of course, if you've been a steady watcher of this show, you know no one has been on this show more, no one has won more than Mike Zarcone. And that's understandable when he is a Buffalo Bowling Hall of Famer. None of this stuff happens by accident.
Nope. Great talent, great bowlers over here. They know their equipment. They know how to read a bowling lane. They know how to judge transition. When the lanes start changing, how to make good moves on it. So, this is just going to come down to who carries the most, I think.
24th appearance for Mike Zarcone on this show, an overall record of 22 wins and 17 losses. Of course, that's #1 in appearances and #1 in wins. Last time we saw Mike was at the Tonawanda Bowling Center a couple of months ago, where he lost to Dana Vojtovich. And so right now Mike Johnson's the hotter bowler as he makes his 5th appearance on the show with an overall record of 6-2. Coming off the 2 wins in a row last week.
Just overall a great bowler. I mean,
I think the one thing that I have remarked and noticed the most about Mike Johnson, just how smooth he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little more crouched in his approach than a lot of the other bowlers are, but there's just a rhythm and a smoothness to every time he throws the ball.
And timing has a lot to do with everything. And let me tell you something about August in the bowling business. A lot of people aren't in that form yet. It takes a little time to get to where the timing is smooth and steady, because you just haven't been bowling this much. It's just the way it works, and can't tell that by him in any way.
There's Janelle Saban manning the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard that shows us strike spare for each guy in the first 2 frames. Mike Johnson is 46 years old, from Grand Island, employed as a warehouse manager. He has been bowling since the age of 5 years old, with a 234 overall average and a number of titles to his credit, including the most recent Tri-City Masters title, which you talked about last week on the show, is a very prominent Western New York title.
Absolutely.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ. Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV. 50 years old, from Tonawanda, is Mike Zarcone, 235 overall average. 2014 Open Masters champion, 2016 New York State All Events champion, but of course a Greater Buffalo Bowling Hall of Famer.
Well, Mike Zarcone got a little bit of a break there by not even being up on the lanes when that 10-pin didn't fall for Mike Johnson. And his job now is to come up and take advantage of that, because a strike there by Mike Johnson would have really started to, pull away a little bit, and did what he had to do and got up there and made a great shot.
6th frame now for Mike Zarcone. Looking to chop into Mike Johnson's lead, and that's a good way to do it. That's a double. Mike Zarcone was our top qualifier in the round of 24. He took home a television valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV, even though everybody seems to think Mike has like 14 TVs all hanging on the walls of his house. It's only the 2nd time he's won the top 24 roll-off prize.
Yep, we had to get clarification on that, and I also myself thought that Mike had 2 TVs in every room, but not so much.
And a ring around the 10-pin won't go down for Mike Johnson.
So that's the importance of Mike Zarcone coming up and taking advantage of what was still a great shot by Mike, but a 10-pin lead, and coming up and throwing a double. Now this 10-pin, changes the match. This is now a 6-pin match that Mike can turn around and take the lead on his next shot because of a pair of 10-pins really left by Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson has his wife Renee, his mom Karen, and his dad Jeff all here at the Rapids Bowling Center cheering him on, which is great. We always love to highlight the folks that have come out to support the bowlers, and family members and friends and buddies, and that's what's cool about this.
Honestly, we have a great audience.
Yeah, we do.
For August in the bowling business. I mean, this is still, summertime, and leagues have not really come underway yet, and yet we have a great audience today. And I think for the fall and for the upcoming year, we should try to get a little more out there as far as the tape gate dates go and that, and try to get people to come out and watch. I know I've been approached about people who watch coming to actually see a show live, And our next taping will be August.
Well, it's actually
it's
today,
actually
so you're going to be a little late for that.
So we'll try to find out the September taping and get that
and
out
again,
there.
the Facebook page, Beat the Champ Facebook page, will always have the poster up on it as soon as the dates are out for qualifying, and the qualifying date poster always has the taping date. Sometimes they're on the weekends, sometimes they're in midweek, which we know presents some challenges to people. But if you're around and and if you've got nothing going on a given day, just come on out and cheer these guys on. It's always fun to to be a part of a TV show event like this.
Right, and come over and talk to us. I mean, I know a lot of people have always come up and
well, you have to go through my agent
show.
first on that. No, just
not me though.
kidding.
You come right up and talk to me.
Just kidding. No, we love. Nothing makes us happier than have people come up and say, "Hey, we watch you every week." And we had a gentleman, Mike, come up to us here at the Rapids Bowling Center and say he has only missed one show. He's only missed the very first show. Wow. That's unbelievable. That's awesome. We love it. All right, so Mike Zarcone's on 4 in a row.
Did what he had to do to lead in the match.
And Mike Johnson continues to have some trouble with the ring 10s. So now he's got a little work to do because he finds himself behind. So yeah, so if you can, stay up on top of all the info on the Facebook page, and if you get a chance, and bring your kids out. This is cool for them to watch and to see some of the great bowlers in Western New York, particularly if they're interested in the sport as well too.
Right, the last 2 months on the 4th show, we've had some great matches with the junior bowlers. So we know the junior bowlers are watching, and we know that there's a future for them to be for this show, and they're actually making the show now on our 4th shows, those special shows that we have. So yeah, definitely get the kids out here to watch.
All right, so Mike Johnson slides over to lane 29 for the 9th frame, now knowing that he has got work to do and he has got to put pressure on Mike Zarcone because he knows Mike's going to put pressure on him. Mike's looking for a 3rd consecutive win.
Come on, kid.
Big one for Mike Johnson in the 9th frame.
That was almost absolutely necessary to throw that strike.
Right.
So great shot there, getting up there and doing what he had to do.
Yeah, and as you mentioned it, our 4th show at Classic Lanes, which is next month's series of shows, will be a youth challenge as well too. So, all right, so here's Sarcone, frame 9 on 4 in a row. Make it 5. I'll tell you what, he is a machine, isn't he? He is just a machine. Remember, he had an open in the 4th. He had an 8-pin open in the 4th, but none of that ever gets Mike Zarcone down. He knows how to shake it off. He knows how to fix whatever the problem may have been. And that's why he has won 22 matches on this show and may be in position for 23.
A strike here will give him the win.
Yeah, not quite. 4-pin will prevent that.
So he needs a spare here. He needs a spare here in good count. The best that Mike Johnson can do is a 228, and so we're looking at strike 8, or spare 8 here for Mike.
There's the spare.
Oh, he's yelling hook like he didn't think it was gonna hook. He knew that was gonna hook.
I don't know why he was. It looked perfect to me. It looked like it was going right where it needed to go. All right, so 8 pins here for Mike Zarcone clinches this victory. And he'll give himself the guarantee by getting all 10. Mike Zarcone posts up a 231 to get himself a victory, and a tough one that he had to overcome a pretty big hole, but that's what Mike Zarcone does well. Always fun to see Mike Johnson. He is one of our favorites on this show.
Yeah, it was a good
and
show.
Just a great bowler. We just got to get him somewhere out of Grand Island and Niagara Falls and maybe see if he can't get down to Classic for next month too.
Absolutely.
So, all right, we come back and we will wrap this match up and get you ready for match number 2. Sue and I and Janelle return to the Rapids Bowling Center right after this. Well, it was exactly the match that we thought it would be between two great bowlers in Mike Johnson and Mike Zarcone. When Zarcone leaves that open in the 4th, are you thinking there's an opportunity there, or do you know better because you bowled against Zarcone that many times?
I mean, of course I knew there was an opportunity, and I started to jump on it, but against a guy like Mike, you got to go every frame and hope the pins fall your way. Just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, well, this was a nice little run for you, and it was fun to watch. Are you feeling good about where your game is right now?
I'm feeling really good about it. Absolutely, absolutely. We had a lot of fun out here, and hopefully be back next month.
All right, Patrick Donovan from here at the Rapids Bowling Center. Patrick?
Mike, always a pleasure to see you. Hopefully it's a little consolation for you, but I know you want to probably take it all the way, so hopefully we'll see you again soon.
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
Good run for Mike Johnson, but it's Mike Zarcone that will advance on. Match number 2 coming your way next from Niagara Falls.
I'm here on Beat the Champ with Jay Schwarzkopf, new face to the show, but we have talked about you because you won the TV a couple weeks ago. So came right back, bowled great again, this time got on the show. What's your feelings about today?
It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward. I've been watching these guys. Mike and Mike are ahead of me, and I'm a big fan of them, so I'll get to see how I stand against them.
Okay, well, you've been high qualifier. We know you're qualified. We know that you've got what it takes to start your own streaks. So good luck bowling today, and we hope you have fun.
All right, thanks, Sue.
All right.
Contrasting styles for match number 2, or contrasting levels of experience. Our most experienced bowler, Mike Zarcone, against this guy, Jay Schwarzkopf, making his Beat the Champ debut. So we'll see how this goes. Got to be a little intimidating, I think, for anybody to be bowling, not only in their first match, but to do it against Mike Zarcone.
It depends. He might not know what he's actually up against.
Right.
Just coming out there and.
Or maybe he's like, "Who's this Sarcone guy everyone's talking about?" Well, it didn't seem to bother Jay in his first.
Didn't look like any nerves on that first shot.
Yeah, we are joined by Patrick Donovan here. He is the manager at the Rapids Bowling Center. Patrick's going to sit in with us here for this match and tell us a little bit about all the good stuff going on here at the Rapids Bowling Center and provide a little expert analysis of both of these guys. So here's Mike Zarcone's first throw. He didn't like it, did he?
Not happy
Was that
with
a
it at
stomp?
all.
Did he stomp the approach there?
He stumped. Yes, he did. Off his hand, he knew that one was inside his target, and wasn't what he wanted, that's for sure.
Yeah, that right lane has definitely opened up completely today. It's been a little nuts, actually.
And once again, for the second match in a row, Mike will leave himself open after a spare attempt. Certainly very uncharacteristic for Mike. Did not hurt him in the last match, but just not what you normally expect to see.
No, his ball just does snaps in the back end, and that can be trouble on those 2-pin conversions when you're dealing with that hook.
And much like what makes Mike Zarcone great, he bounces himself right back with a strike.
Right back, short attention span. That's what you have to have in this sport.
That's right.
Jay Schwarzkopf is 43 years old. He is from North Tonawanda, employed at the University at Buffalo. As we mentioned, his first appearance on the show. A very interesting backstory, Sue. Bowled when he was younger, quit early 90s, started up bowling again just 2 years ago.
It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's lost anything, that's for sure. I mean,
and that's just, it's so unusual to, normally the bowlers we get on the show have been bowling 30, 40 years plus all their lives, 4 or 5 years old. To get a guy who writes down number of years bowling 2 is very unusual.
Yeah, that was a little bit deceptive, and this is a game of timing, and he already knew how to bowl, so he already had his fundamentals, and then it's just about getting some practice in and having somebody help you through the bowling ball process, because that changes very quickly. And he can pick it up again pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, it's perfect for the first 3 frames, so whatever he picked up, he's picked it up okay. And there's 2 in a row, a double for Mike Zarcone.
I actually bowled, I bowled a few qualifiers over at Manor 2 and bowled with Jay, and he's got very down and in, simple games, not going to get him in a whole lot of trouble. So, and a very upbeat, disposition. So he's not all tense and worried. He's coming out here to have a good time.
About 3 in a row for Mike Zarcone. Well, here we are, Patrick, on the 25th of August, which means Labor Day is next weekend.
Next weekend.
Which means after that, it's bowling season.
Bowling season, yep, absolutely. Leagues start right after Labor Day, so.
You ready to go here?
I think so. I think we've come together quite nicely this year, and we have a lot of interesting things coming up. So I'm hoping every night we have almost a full house, if not a full house. So. Should be interesting.
That's great. That's 4 in a row to start things off here for Jay Schwarzkopf as you get a look at Janelle Saban and the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Now, Jay kind of got on our radar at Classic Lanes a couple of months ago when he was, or I'm sorry, Manor Lanes, where he won the TV thanks to Dirt Cheap TV as the top qualifier. Unfortunately, he did not make the final 9 to get on the TV show, but it's an indication that despite all of what we talked about with Jay not having bowled a long time, he's bowling well right now.
Yep, it's coming together, getting back into the sport. And, we said it's a little bit about practice and, just getting that even tempo, getting your timing down consistently, and he looks like he's there.
Has also spent some time working with Brad Angelo last summer in the Bowl U program, and we've had a lot of bowlers on this show who swear by what they've learned from the teachings of Brad Angelo, so that can help as well too.
We do hear a lot about that, don't we? Wow, what a great shot that was.
That's 4 in a row for Mike Zarcone. So Mike starts open 4 in a row. Jay goes 4 in a row and a spare. So the scorecards are looking a little bit the same here right now.
We were talking a little bit about bowling balls and figuring out equipment and the balance of equipment versus, keeping up lane conditions and oils to match the new technology, but that extra added information that these bowlers take that little learning a little bit further, and they learn what is happening on the lane, what they're seeing when what they see their ball do, and so it's not just about going up there and executing. There's a whole lot of knowledge that goes into reading your ball reaction and picking a bowling ball. That's where that Bowl U has brought these people to a different level.
A little bit of missing the target there for Jay Schwarzkopf. He has his parents Ron and Kim here cheering him on, along with his girlfriend Chantel. Ron, his dad, pretty regular on TV bowling shows back in the day, the Tops TV Challenge, the Pepsi Challenge show. So there's bowling that runs in the Schwarzkopf family.
I wonder how much of that actually attributed to maybe easing his nerves a little bit, maybe getting a little pep talk from Dad.
I'm sure a lot. That's a great point, Patrick. I'm sure a lot.
This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
He seems composed. He seems much more composed than some of the first timers I've seen.
Right,
so
right.
It's nice to see.
Back when Jay was in 9th grade, won the Tonawanda Junior Doubles title.
Wow.
With his partner Jamie Ortiz. That's a while ago, but it just tells you that Jay knows how to rise to the occasion and bowl very well in big matches. And he is putting the pressure on Mike Zarcone right now.
It's funny how you mentioned in the last match when Mike had an open and just was completely unaffected and went on to throw a bunch of strikes to win that match. And we're seeing the same thing almost happen here. He definitely was able to put that bad shot aside.
Well, he had run off 5 straight strikes until there, right after that open. So I don't know what better example you could ask for than being able to move on to the next play, right? It's the old football adage, next play. You got to have a short memory.
So what that 4-pin, leaving this 4-pin right here, has created is almost a dead even match. We're looking at a 2-pin match. Yep, we're at a 2-pin match with Jay having a strike up, so he can use that now to his advantage. But now this is going to be a game of
who's going to break first.
Right.
Well, and the fact that, you know, as we've talked about, with 23 wins, Mike Zarcone's won on this TV show more than anybody else. He's being pushed hard by a guy who's making his debut.
Right.
And of course, I mentioned that Jay was the winner and Mike were the winners, but both taking home a TV after being the top qualifier in the round of 24, getting that TV valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV. That opportunity there every month in qualifying on Beat the Champ. All right, so Mike did not like what happened there.
Well, that's a big 6 count here, because that changes the pin advantage. Where Mike had a 2-pin advantage, now he's got a 2-pin disadvantage, so that 6 count makes a difference.
Big difference. Looks like he got a little wide on that shot. Just kind of slipped
They're breaking
through.
down a little bit for him. He's getting that sharp break in the back end.
Yeah, he was almost like right about 15, the 15 board. He was riding that edge on the left lane.
Well, we talk about we can already tell that Jay is an athlete. We know that. How about the night before we tape? The day before we tape here, he competed in a Navy SEAL obstacle course race at Kissing Bridge, 6 miles, 30 obstacles, lots of hills, completed it in 3 hours, finished 10th in his age group. How about that?
Wow. Yeah, he is very fit to pull that one off.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anytime anyone's in a conversation with Navy SEALs, that tells you an awful lot.
Great shot.
Well, he's got a very famous military last name, so it's the least that he could do, right? Start calling him the General. If he wins this match, we'll call him the General.
There you go. Right now he's up 11. But this match is going to go right down the 10th frame. They've kept this nice and close.
Spare in the 9th for Jay Schwarzkopf. So Mike Zarcone to finish things out right now, being pushed very hard.
Now this should be kind of a telling shot. What we're gonna expect on the right lane here.
Great shot.
Classic Mike Zarcone strike where those pins just explode behind the ball.
So Mike cannot shut Jay out. Mike can strike out for a 214, and then Jay would have to get up and throw all 3 to win by 1. But he certainly is gonna. He needs these 2 strikes here to put some pressure on Jay. You want to force your opponent to double if you can.
And that's exactly what Mike seems determined to do.
He went right back to it too. Kept it right on that inside edge and rode it all the way down.
Well, it's important for Mike to keep it near the oil, because that dry
Exactly.
just, he already creates enough back end. He doesn't need that dry to help that along. Oh, in the oil. Great shot.
Right there, yeah.
Yep. So he's doing what he has to do. He's forced Jay to double, and that's no easy feat when it's your first television show.
So ending at least with 3 strikes, maybe 4. Exactly. That's what makes Mike great. And we talk about how great Mike is, and the numbers will back that up, and the Hall of Fame will back that up. But it's just even within the match, knowing exactly what to do to make your opponent have to work as hard as possible. So Mike Zarcone puts a 244 on the board. So the challenge now for the newcomer, Jay Schwarzkopf, is to strike his way through the 10th frame.
Well, he needs all 3 to win. 2 strikes in 9 will be a tie. 2 strikes in 8 will not be enough. So starts right here with this first one. Great shot.
There's one.
Great shot. Now, not to foreshadow, but don't forget that right lane was the lane that he had that one shot that he just kind of laid out a little bit. So.
And it's hard not to think about that when you're up there. It's important to block those thoughts out, but they sneak their way in sometimes. So this is a mental sport as much as it is physical.
And needing the strike, it doesn't go correctly for Jay, and the smile on his face is one of amazement, I think. And
he knows that got away from him.
Yep. So tough one. You know, to beat the king, you've got to bowl your best, and he got pushed right to the end, but it winds up being an 11-pin victory for Mike Zarcone. Boy, I'm excited to talk to Jay about how this whole debut went. He pushed Mike Zarcone hard. We'll talk to Mike, and we'll get you ready for match number 3. What a terrific match this was. We're right back to the Rapids Bowling Center right after this. Well, it's one of the more impressive debuts we've ever had on this show, Jay, and I know the end result wasn't what you wanted, but how were you able, particularly sort of being new to be back in this sport, how were you able to come out and bowl as well as you did?
Well, luckily you guys give us a practice lane, so that took out a lot of nerves. But I at least gave Mike some heat, so I made him work for it. But yeah, he's a good bowler, so it's tough to beat him.
You sure did. What happened on the last one there where you not only would have given him some heat, you might almost beat him?
Yeah, and that second shot in the 10th, I stuck a little on my thumb and yanked it a little, so I guess that's the inexperience.
Yeah,
I should have taken more time.
Well, this is a name everybody needs to start knowing, and I know you know all about it, Patrick.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
You know,
well,
he's won a TV. He's going to win a little cash from you now.
Absolutely, and it's been a pleasure meeting you, Jay.
Thanks for hosting.
You're very welcome. Hopefully that helps a little bit with the next event, but hopefully we'll see you back real soon.
It might. The next time you're going to go hang out with the Navy SEALs, you might be able to use that as well too. So
they let the fat guys hang out with them.
What a terrific debut for Jay Schwarzkopf, a name to watch in the future. The name to watch in our immediate future, Charles Jones Sr. He's up next against Mike Zarcone. We're back with that match right after this.
Hi, I'm here on Beat the Champ with a new face, Charles Jones Sr. First show. Have you made any television appearances before this?
No, I haven't.
Any nerves?
No.
300 last month, qualifying at Alley Brandt. Kind of gives you a little confidence going forward to come back here and make this show?
Yes, it did.
Are you excited?
I am very excited.
Well, I'm excited to watch you bowl because we haven't seen you bowl on the TV show before. So good luck to you today. It's going to be a great day of bowling.
Yes, it will.
All right.
Thank you.
Mike Zarcone goes for 3 in a row against another bowler making his debut, and we're excited to get our first look at Charles Jones Sr. He will start things off here in match number 3 at the Rapids Bowling Center. After the debut of Jay Schwarzkopf, the bar has been raised.
Keeping it in the oil. Great shot.
And a great start. Well, that's got to be just a relief. Jay did it, Charles did it, first bowling match in the first match in the show against one of the greats, and to get a strike in the first frame.
I know, it's like no nerves at all. It's pretty impressive.
Let's see, I think Mike admitted to us that he got pushed by a guy that he didn't know very much about, and maybe he went into that match against Jay not expecting to be pushed so much. So unfortunately for Charles, what Jay did now means there will be no underestimating from Mike Zarcone about what he's facing in Charles Jones Sr.
Well, yeah, and then starting off with that open too, it puts him immediately at disadvantage,
right.
and Jay took advantage of that in the beginning. So yes, Mike definitely got pushed. Keeping it in the oil. That seems to be the strategy there on lane 29, is everybody's moved in quite a bit.
Little ring 10 there will leave Mike working on a spare. 24 wins now, thanks to the 2-match winning streak for Mike Zarcone. Those 24 wins are 9 more than anyone else has had here on Beat the Champ. Spare in the second frame for Mike Zarcone. And now Charles Jones Sr., 37 years old, from Buffalo, after the strike in the first frame. Let's see what he does here. Got it a little bit left, and that's why the 6 and 10 are still standing.
Well, you got to remember these lanes are a little bit different, and that's his first time, 30, that he kept it in the oil. That one also, from my vantage point, looked like he kept it in the oil, but these lanes are definitely a little bit different.
Nice, smooth, easy stroke for Charles, and the spare pickup in frame number 2. So strike spare for both guys in the first 2 frames. Charles has a wonderful cheering section. His wife and his family, they total 7 or 8 folks here. I guarantee you're going to hear them. Now you can see them. You're going to hear them periodically, if not regularly, through this match. Ooh, whoa! And if they aren't loud enough, Charles will let them know they're not loud enough. How do you go from a 7-10 split to a strike in a matter of a second or two?
It's called pin action.
It sure is. Boy, they're talking about a range of emotions. And once again, Mike a little bit missing the target there and leaving some pins on the right-hand side.
I want to point out that the same thing happened to Charles on that lane, so that's going to be characteristic of this lane. They're going to have to get their eyes right, or they're going to have to move their feet in and keep it and move in a little bit more if they're going to catch that oil. So that's definitely become a characteristic of lane 30.
There's Janelle Saban on the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard, keeping you up to date on all the scoring going on in match number 3 here at the Rapids Bowling Center. Mike Zarcone beat Mike Johnson in match number 1. Zarcone outlasted Jay Schwarzkopf in match number 2. This is match 3. Frame 4, strike 2. So 2 strikes and 2 spares for Mike Zarcone through the first 4. Charles Jones Sr., 2 strikes and a spare. Bowls regularly at airport lanes a couple nights a week during the bowling season, and then at Volkers, the very famous Volkers lanes in North Buffalo on Friday nights.
Charles doing what he had to do, which is making the right adjustment on lane 30. He moved his feet in a little bit, his eyes a little bit right, and got away from that little bit of an early bite.
What are you noticing about Charles' style here?
Charles and Mike are actually pretty similar. They're probably playing the lanes pretty similarly. Hooks it, got good rotation, and seems to be pretty smart in making adjustments. 3
in a row now for Charles Jones Sr.
Can't underestimate these first timers, can you?
No, you cannot. 2 guys in a row have really made one heck of a debut here. And we'll see what Mike Zarcone will have to say about whether it's going to be a happy debut or not.
He doesn't go away easy,
sometimes when you poke the bear, you know, the results are not exactly what you want. And I think, I think based on what we've seen from Jay and Charles here, they have gotten Mike's attention. This is frame 6.
I'm going to tell you, that was a fantastic
Perfect shot.
It was a fantastic shot.
I love it when the pins kind of kick out, you know, and I noticed that with all the pins on the right-hand side, the top of the pins went down, the bottoms went up, and the explosion.
You could almost have seen it off his hand, how he had that little extra hit on it.
Well, a lot of pin action there, but just not enough to get that 4.
Big 4 pin right there.
Charles throws it hard, almost over 17 miles per hour down the lanes on that one. Spare ball, just a little nick of the corner gets Charles the spare in the 6th frame.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Okay, so what has happened here is this match has become even, because by Mike posting up that double and Charles leaving that 4 pin, we're back to an even match. Nice shot.
Charles had a 300 game in qualifying at Allie Brandt lanes last month, was not able to make the show, but sort of put himself on all of our radar a little bit with that 300 game during the qualifying. So, you know, that's 2 guys with Jay and Charles that have bowled very well to be noticed during qualifying and then have taken the next step of getting on the show.
Right.
Right on target for Mike Zarcone, 4 in a row.
I'll tell you what, we know Mike's a great bowler. His stats say he's a great bowler, and he's a Hall of Fame bowler. But what we've seen today is just, being able to rise to the occasion, make the adjustments when you need to, read the transitions, not get down when, discouraged when you're pushed or down in the match. We've seen some extraordinary bowling, actually.
And I would suspect, and you probably could speak to this a little bit too, when you've established yourself like Mike Zarcone has, everybody's coming after you.
Right.
You're the tar. Everybody wants to beat. I want to say I just beat Mike Zarcone. You have to adapt to that. I'm sure in your career you've done the same thing.
Well,
although you're such a nice person, no one would speak meanly about you.
How do people probably out there probably just roll their eyes?
How hard is that to develop? That's one of the next steps as being a great bowler, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's funny that in my career I've had times where I have felt, wow, smash 7 right there.
Charles can't do anything but laugh.
You can. It's part of the game. There's not. We've all been there. We've all seen that. Smash 7s. You bowl long enough, you see a ton of that. So there's been time, and when you're throwing it good and things are going right, it's easy to get, confidence about you, and it can go away just that fast. This is such a funny sport.
Sit up, sit down.
And we mentioned some of the qualifying prizes on the line, and of course there's a television on the line every month on Beat the Champ TV. The top qualifier in the round of 24 wins television valued at $500 from Dirt Cheap TV. Mike won it for this month's bowling here at Rapids Bowling Center. Jay won it last month before. So everybody's got a chance to take one of those home.
Okay, so we've got an 8-pin match. Both bowlers have strikes up in the 9th, so this is impossible to predict.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike could shut out. Hypothetically, he could throw all 3 and shut Charles out, which I'm sure is his goal.
Absolutely. There's one. And first in the 10th is a strike for Mike Zarcone. This is very similar to what he did in the last match against Jay Schwarzkopf, where he ended with 4 consecutive strikes, going to the 10th, needing he couldn't shut Jay out, but he knew that he would put a lot of pressure on Jay if he kept striking, and I think that's exactly what he knows he needs to do here too. Don't leave the door open for Charles to ride a wave of emotion to knock him off.
Right. Big strike here. That's it. We got a winner.
So Mike Zarcone once again responds to the challenge, and that is what makes him so good, and that's what makes him a bowling machine. He is the bowling Terminator, isn't he?
He sure is today.
You can push me, but I'm going to respond. So what a fun match this was to watch. Yet another debut bowler pushes our most successful bowler hard, but it's a win for Mike Zarcone. We'll talk to Mike, we'll talk to Charles, wrap up week number 2 in the Rapids Bowling Center when BTC returns to the NF. Well, another new bowler pushes Mike Zarcone right to the end. This time it was Charles Jones, the senior. Your first time up, and you really bowled well. Take me through the whole experience here.
It was a good experience, first time up. 8th frame cost me, ringing 7, so hey. It's the way the pins fall.
Yeah, that one hurt, right?
Yeah,
and we could all tell, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's obviously getting on the show more regularly, but what are the next steps you want to take in your game, and what did you learn from going up against the best right now?
Well, I can't take nothing from Mike. He's a bowler. So hey, I felt great facing him. Hey, I lost. Best man won.
All right. Well, I know we're going to see more of Charles here. Patrick, make him feel a little better.
Well, I'll take care of you as soon as we're done here. So we'll make sure to have you back real soon, Charles. All right.
Sue, our winner, Mike Zarcone.
Might have thought coming in that odds-on favorite, being the most experienced person in the group today, pushed very hard though, weren't you?
Absolutely. There's, every match is anybody can beat anybody at any given time. So you get just bowl, strike a lot, and hopefully win.
Took a little adjustments there. There was some transition going on. Had to make some choices, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah, they started to hook a little bit, so I had to move it in a little bit, and it worked out for me.
Well, we'll expect to see more of that going forward, won't we?
Yes, we will.
Nice bowling.
Yeah, and going forward, it's a 3-match winning streak for Mike Zarcone that he will take into next week's show with 3 new challengers. We'll wrap up this week. Get you ready for next when we all return to the Rapids Bowling Center right after this. Well, this was a really interesting show. Anytime we get Mike Zarcone, you know it's going to be fun to watch because he's just so good. But to see the 2 newcomers in Jay and Charles really push him hard was very interesting.
Nope, that was not necessarily what we expected, but it is the great thing of bowling, and we saw the joy of winning and the agony of defeat now, didn't we? That's really what this is all about. But very impressive first appearances for these guys.
Yeah, and always impressive to watch Mike Zarcone, and you saw a little bit of a different part of what makes Mike such a great bowler, which was getting pushed when he didn't think he would get pushed and then pushing back.
Right, and the adjustments that take place, and also the mental part of this sport. It's not just about execution, it's about the opponents, what's your strategy against them, and then when you see the lane conditions changing, adjusting to that as well.
Yeah, it was good stuff today. And we had maybe one of the best crowds we've ever had, thanks to Charles Jones Sr. and his family.
Oh my gosh, it's so incredible when these competitors bring their squad with them, because it only encourages them more and makes them push harder and harder.
Yeah, and we got a lot of enthusiasm and emotion out of all of the bowlers, which is always fun to see, and something hopefully we will get next month. 1 more week of competition. Mike Zarcone's back, so are 3 bowlers looking to knock him off. We'll see you next week from Niagara Falls at the Rapids Bowling Center, right here on Beat the Champ.